the unraveling. When perfect falls apart. The perfect Christmas morning. The snow fell softly outside the window, covering the street in a blanket of white. Sarah Mitchell stood in her kitchen, wearing her favorite red sweater, watching the coffee maker bubble and hiss. Everything looked perfect. The Christmas tree sparkled in the living room. Wrapped presents sat underneath in neat rows. The smell of cinnamon rolls filled the air. She had been married to Daniel for 8 years. 8 years of building a life together. They had a beautiful home in the suburbs, good jobs, and plans for the future. Everyone said they were the perfect couple. Sarah believed it too. That morning felt special. It was their first Christmas in the new house. Sarah had spent weeks decorating, making everything just right. She wanted this day to be memorable. She had no idea how memorable it would actually become. Daniel was still sleeping upstairs. He had come home late the night before, saying he had to finish a project at work. Sarah didn't question it. She trusted him completely. Why wouldn't she? He had never given her a reason not to. She poured 2 cups of coffee and carried them toward the stairs. That's when she noticed the mail slot in the front door. Strange. Mail didn't come on Christmas Day. She set down the cups and walked over. The mysterious card. A single red envelope lay on the floor. No stamp. No return address. Just her name written in elegant handwriting. Sarah Mitchell. Her heart beat a little faster. Something about it felt wrong. She picked it up slowly. The envelope was expensive, the kind you buy at fancy stationery stores. She turned it over. A gold seal held it closed. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal and pulled out the card inside. The front showed a winter scene with a couple holding hands. It looked romantic and sweet. But when Sarah opened it, her world stopped spinning. Inside, in the same elegant handwriting, were words that would change everything. Dear Sarah, I'm sorry you have to find out this way, but you deserve to know the truth. Your husband has been seeing someone else for the past 6 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday when he says he's working late. Every weekend business trip. I thought you should know before you waste another year of your life. A friend who cares. Sarah read it once, then twice, then 3 times. The words didn't change. Her hands started shaking. The card fell to the floor. She felt dizzy, like the room was spinning around her. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of sick joke. Daniel would never do this. They loved each other. They had plans. They were happy. But somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispered that maybe she had been blind. Maybe the late nights weren't really about work. Maybe the weekend trips weren't really business. Maybe the phone calls he took in another room meant something after all. The confrontation. Sarah grabbed the card and ran upstairs. She burst into the bedroom. Daniel was just waking up, rubbing his eyes. "Morning, babe," he said with a sleepy smile. "Merry Christmas." Sarah threw the card at him. It landed on his chest. "Explain this." Daniel picked up the card, looking confused. As he read it, his face changed. First surprise, then panic, then something that looked like guilt. He tried to hide it, but Sarah saw it all. "This is crazy," he said, sitting up. "Who would send something like this?" "It's not true, Sarah. Someone is trying to mess with us." "Look at me," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Look me in the eyes and tell me the truth." Daniel met her eyes for just a second, then looked away. That was all Sarah needed to see. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It's true. It's actually true." "Sarah, listen. Don't." She held up her hand. "Don't you dare lie to me anymore." "Who is she?" Daniel stood up, running his hands through his hair. He looked trapped, like an animal in a cage. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Sarah's voice got louder. "Tell me what it is, Daniel. Who is she? How long has this been going on?" 6 months, he finally said, his voice quiet. "Her name is Rebecca. She works in my office." Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of coming home and kissing her like everything was normal. Half a year of pretending to be a faithful husband. "Get out," she said. "Sarah, please. Get out!" she screamed. "Get out of this house right now." Following the trail. After Daniel left, Sarah sat on the floor of their bedroom for a long time. She couldn't cry. She couldn't move. She just sat there, staring at nothing, trying to understand how her life had fallen apart so quickly. Finally, she picked herself up. She walked to Daniel's side of the closet and started searching through his things. If he had been lying about this, what else had he been lying about? In his jacket pocket, she found a restaurant receipt from 2 weeks ago. A place downtown she had never been to. The bill was for 2 people. Expensive wine, dessert, a romantic dinner for 2. She found more receipts. Movie tickets, hotel stays, gifts she had never received. Every piece of evidence was like another knife in her heart. Sarah grabbed her phone and opened Daniel's laptop. She knew his password. They had never kept secrets from each other. Or so she thought. His email was full of messages from Rebecca. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Last weekend was amazing. I think I'm falling in love with you." Sarah read every single message, torturing herself with the details of her husband's other life. The life he had been living while pretending to love her. The coffee shop discovery. The next morning, Sarah couldn't stay in the house anymore. Everything reminded her of Daniel. Every corner held a memory that now felt like a lie. She drove to the coffee shop near Daniel's office. She didn't know why. Maybe she wanted to see where he had been all those late nights. Maybe she needed to make it real. The shop was busy with people getting their morning coffee. Sarah ordered a tea and sat by the window. She felt numb, like she was watching her life from outside her body. "Sarah?" She looked up. It was Jennifer, a woman she had met at one of Daniel's office parties. They had talked for hours that night about books and travel. "Jennifer." Sarah tried to smile but couldn't. Jennifer sat down, looking concerned. "Are you okay? You look." "I found out Daniel's been cheating on me," Sarah said. The words came out flat and emotionless. Jennifer's face went pale. "Oh no. Sarah, I'm so sorry. Do you know her? Rebecca?" Jennifer looked down at her coffee. "Yes, she's been at the office for about a year." "What's she like?" Sarah didn't know why she was asking. It didn't matter, but she needed to know. "Young, 25, blonde.
I'm sorry, Sarah."
"This isn't helping. Tell me." Jennifer sighed. "She's everything society says is beautiful. But Sarah, that doesn't mean anything. You are amazing. What Daniel did has nothing to do with you and everything to do with him." The other woman's face. Sarah couldn't help herself. She looked up Rebecca on social media. Took only a minute to find her. Jennifer was right. She was young and beautiful. Her page was full of pictures from parties and trips and happy moments. Sarah scrolled through the photos, her heart breaking more with each one. Then she saw it. Picture from 3 weeks ago. Rebecca at a Christmas market, holding hot chocolate, wearing a scarf Sarah had never seen before. But Sarah recognized the background. It was the Christmas market downtown. The one Daniel had said was too crowded when Sarah suggested they go together. He had gone, just not with his wife. Sarah kept scrolling. There were more photos. Some showed a man's hand holding Rebecca's. In one picture, you could see part of a man's face. It was definitely Daniel. They looked happy. They looked like a couple. They looked like what Sarah thought she and Daniel had been. How could she have been so blind? A friend's confession. That afternoon, Sarah's best friend Melissa came over. Sarah had called her, finally breaking down and crying. Melissa arrived within 20 minutes. "I'm so sorry," Melissa said, hugging Sarah tight. "I'm so sorry." They sat on the couch, Sarah wrapped in a blanket, tissues everywhere. She had been crying for hours. Her eyes were red and swollen. She felt empty inside. "How did I not see it?" Sarah asked. "How did I miss all the signs?" Melissa was quiet for a long moment. Too quiet. Sarah looked at her. "What?" "Nothing. Melissa, what is it?" Melissa took a deep breath. "I suspected something was wrong. About 2 months ago. I saw Daniel having lunch with a woman. They looked close, too close. But I told myself I was imagining things. I didn't want to believe it. And I definitely didn't want to hurt you by saying something if I was wrong. Sarah felt like she had been slapped. You knew? You've known for 2 months and didn't tell me? I didn't know for sure. I just suspected.
Sarah, I'm sorry.
I should have said something. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? Sarah stood up, anger flooding through her. You let me keep living a lie. You watched me plan Christmas and talk about our future, and the whole time you knew. I didn't know. I just had a bad feeling. Get out. Sarah's voice was cold. Sarah, please. Everyone has been lying to me. Everyone. Just go, Melissa. I can't deal with this right now. After Melissa left, Sarah was truly alone. Her husband had betrayed her. Her best friend had kept secrets. Who else knew? Who else had been watching her play the happy wife while her marriage fell apart? The breaking point. That night, Sarah sat in the dark living room, staring at the Christmas tree. All those presents underneath were now meaningless. She had bought Daniel expensive gifts. She had wrapped them with care. She had written loving notes on the tags. For what? For a man who was sleeping with someone else? She stood up and started pulling ornaments off the tree. One by one, she threw them across the room. They shattered against the walls, creating a mess of broken glass and memories. She pulled down the stockings she had hung so carefully. She tore the garland from the mantel. She wanted to destroy everything that reminded her of the life she thought she had. Finally, exhausted, she collapsed on the floor among the broken pieces. She curled up and cried. Really cried. The kind of crying that comes from deep in your soul, from a place of pure pain. How had her perfect life become this nightmare? How had 8 years of love turned into lies? How was she supposed to move forward when everything she believed in had been destroyed? But even in that moment of complete breakdown, something changed inside Sarah. Beneath the pain and the tears and the heartbreak, a small spark of anger began to grow. Daniel had broken her heart. He had lied to her face. He had made her look like a fool. But Sarah Mitchell was not going to stay broken. She was not going to let him win. She was not going to be the victim in this story. As she lay there on the floor, surrounded by the wreckage of her perfect Christmas, Sarah made a decision. She would not just survive this. She would come back stronger. She would make sure Daniel regretted what he had done. The revenge wouldn't be loud or messy. It would be calculated and perfect. And it would hurt him the way he had hurt her. But first, she needed to pick herself up off this floor. She needed to stop crying and start planning. She needed to become someone new. Someone who didn't accept betrayal. Someone who fought back. Someone who won. Sarah wiped her tears and stood up. She looked at her reflection in the dark window. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were swollen. She looked destroyed. But looks could be deceiving. Inside, Sarah was no longer the trusting wife who had woken up that Christmas morning. She was something different now. Something stronger. Something dangerous. And Daniel Mitchell had no idea what was coming. The awakening. Rising from the ashes. The silent days. Sarah didn't leave the house for 5 days. She unplugged the phone. She ignored the doorbell. She lived in her pajamas, eating whatever she could find in the kitchen without really tasting it. Daniel had texted her dozens of times. We need to talk. Please answer me. I made a mistake. I love you. Each message made her angrier. Love? He didn't know what that word meant. On the 6th day, Sarah finally took a shower. She stood under the hot water for almost an hour, letting it wash away the numbness. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Her face was thin and pale. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She looked like a ghost. But something had shifted. The crushing sadness was still there, but now it shared space with something else. Clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. Sarah got dressed in real clothes for the first time in days. She brushed her hair. She put on makeup. Not because she felt like it, but because she needed to remember who she was. She was Sarah Mitchell. She had a master's degree in business. She ran the marketing department at one of the city's top firms. She had built a life through hard work and determination. One lying husband wasn't going to destroy her. She picked up her phone and made the first call. Her voice was steady, controlled. "Hello? I need to make an appointment with the divorce attorney." "Yes, as soon as possible." The lawyer's office. Margaret Chen's office was on the 20th floor of a glass building downtown. The walls were lined with law books and certificates. Everything about the space said professional and expensive. Margaret was in her 50s, with short gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. She listened to Sarah's story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. "How long were you married?" Margaret asked. 8 years. We bought a house together 3 years ago. We have joint bank accounts. I make about $90,000 a year. He makes $120. Margaret nodded. "And do you want to try to work it out? Or are you sure about divorce?" Sarah didn't hesitate. "I want a divorce. I want it to be fair. And I want to make sure he understands what he's lost." A small smile crossed Margaret's face. "I can work with that. First, we need to gather all financial records. Bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, investment accounts. Everything. Don't tell him you're doing this yet." "Why not?" "Because people do stupid things when they know divorce is coming. They hide money. They sell things. They make decisions that protect themselves and hurt you. Right now, he's still feeling guilty. That guilt is your advantage." Sarah had never thought of it that way. She had always been honest and straightforward. Playing strategic games felt foreign. But this wasn't a game. This was her life. "There's something else," Margaret said, leaning forward. "In cases like this, it's not uncommon to find other secrets. Financial infidelity often goes hand in hand with romantic infidelity. I'm going to have my investigator look into his accounts. You might be surprised what we find." Discovering hidden assets. 3 weeks later, Margaret called Sarah to come back to the office. The tone in her voice made Sarah's stomach clench. "Sit down," Margaret said when Sarah arrived. She pushed a folder across the desk. "You need to see this." Inside were bank statements Sarah had never seen before. An account in Daniel's name only. Over the past 2 years, he had been transferring money from their joint account into this secret account. Small amounts at first. 500 here, 1,000 there. But it added up. "There's $85,000 in that account," Margaret said. "Money that should have been joint property." Sarah felt like she'd been hit. 85,000? Where did it come from? "Your joint savings, your tax refunds, even some of your paychecks. He's been systematically moving money for 2 years. Long before the affair started." "So he was planning this? He was planning to leave me?" Margaret shook her head. "Not necessarily. Some people just like having a safety net that their spouse doesn't know about. It's about control. But Sarah, this works in your favor. This is illegal. In a divorce, hidden assets can result in penalties. The judge won't be happy about this." Sarah stared at the numbers. 2 years of secret transfers. 2 years of lying about more than just an affair. Their entire marriage had been built on deception. "There's more," Margaret said. She pulled out another document. "He also took out a credit card in both your names without telling you. He's been using it to pay for things with Rebecca. Hotels, jewelry, expensive dinners. The balance is $15,000. Can he do that? Use our joint credit for an affair. Technically, if your name is on the card, you're both responsible for the debt. But again, this shows pattern of deception and financial irresponsibility. It all helps your case." Sarah looked at all the evidence spread across the desk. She had thought the affair was the worst betrayal. But this was deeper. This was calculated. This was theft from his own wife. "I want everything," Sarah said quietly. "I want the house. I want my fair share of every account. I want him to pay for what he's done." Margaret smiled. "Now we're talking. Let's build your case." The old flame returns. That evening, Sarah went to her favorite bookstore. She needed to be somewhere normal, somewhere that reminded her of who she was before Daniel. She was browsing the mystery section when she heard a familiar voice. Sarah? Sarah Mitchell. She turned. For a moment, she couldn't place the face. Then it clicked. Marcus? Marcus Chen. Marcus had been her boyfriend in college. They had dated for 2 years before life took them in different directions. He had moved to Seattle for a job. She had stayed for graduate school. They had promised to stay in touch, but like most college romances, it had faded away. But now here he was, 10 years later, looking older but somehow exactly the same. He had the same kind eyes, the same gentle smile. I heard you moved back to town, Sarah said. 6 months ago. Took a position at the university. Teaching architecture. He paused, studying her face. Are you okay? You look like my life fell apart? Sarah tried to laugh, but it came out bitter. My husband's been cheating on me. I'm getting divorced. Other than that, everything's great. Marcus's expression filled with concern. I'm so sorry. Listen, do you want to get coffee? Or something stronger? You look like you could use a friend. Sarah almost said no. She wasn't ready for this. But then she realized she was tired of being alone with her thoughts. Yes, actually, I'd really like that. They went to a wine bar 2 blocks away. Marcus ordered a bottle of red and 2 glasses. They sat in a quiet corner booth, and for the first time in weeks, Sarah talked to someone who just listened. She told him everything. The Christmas card, the confrontation, the hidden money, the secret credit card. Marcus didn't interrupt. He didn't offer advice. He just listened and occasionally refilled her glass. You deserve so much better than that, he said when she finally finished. I keep wondering what I did wrong. Was I not pretty enough? Not interesting enough? What did she have that I didn't? Stop, Marcus said firmly. This isn't about you. This is about him being selfish and making terrible choices. You're brilliant, Sarah. You always were. I remember in college, you were the one everyone wanted on their team for projects. You were driven and creative and kind. That person is still in there. Sarah felt tears forming. I don't feel like that person anymore. Maybe not right now, but she's still there. She's just hurt. Give her time. They talked for hours, long after the wine was gone. Marcus told her about his life in Seattle, his divorce 3 years ago, his move back home. He understood what she was going through. When they finally left the bar, Marcus walked her to her car. Can I see you again? He asked. Just as friends. I think we both could use a friend right now. Sarah surprised herself by saying yes. Rebuilding confidence. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started putting herself back together. She went back to work, throwing herself into a new marketing campaign. Her boss noticed her renewed energy and gave her a bigger project. She also started seeing a therapist. Dr. Rachel Wong was a calm, practical woman who helped Sarah process her feelings without drowning in them. Betrayal trauma is real, Dr. Wong explained during one session. Your brain is trying to reconcile 2 different realities. The man you thought you knew and the man who did these things. Creates cognitive dissonance. That's why you feel so confused. How do I stop feeling like this? You accept that both realities are true. He was the man you loved, and he's the man who betrayed you. People are complicated. They can be both loving and cruel, sometimes at the same time. The sessions helped. Slowly, Sarah started to feel like herself again. She joined a gym. She started reading again. She reconnected with old friends she had neglected during her marriage. And she saw Marcus. They met for coffee, for walks in the park, for dinners at casual restaurants. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. But it was comfortable. He made her laugh. He reminded her that she was interesting and smart and worth someone's time. One evening, after a particularly good dinner, Marcus walked her to her car. You're doing so well, he said. I'm really proud of you. I still have bad days. Days where I can't get out of bed. Days where I hate him so much I can't think straight. That's normal. Healing isn't linear. He paused. Can I tell you something? Seeing you go through this, watching you get stronger every day. You're amazing, Sarah. You always were, but now you're fighting for yourself. It's beautiful to watch. Sarah felt her heart skip. She wasn't ready for romance. Not yet. But the way Marcus looked at her made her remember what it felt like to be valued. "Thank you," she whispered, "for being here, for listening, for reminding me I'm not broken." "You're not broken," Marcus said softly. "You're rebuilding, and you're going to be stronger than ever." The business opportunity. Sarah's boss, Victoria, called her into her office on a Friday afternoon. Sarah's heart raced. Despite her good work lately, she worried this was about her divorce affecting her performance. "Sit down," Victoria said with a smile. "I have something to discuss with you." Sarah sat, trying to calm her nerves. "The Henderson account," Victoria began. "They've been one of our biggest clients for 5 years. They're launching a new product line and want a complete rebranding campaign. It's a $2 million project." Sarah nodded. She knew about Henderson Industries. Everyone in marketing did. "I want you to lead it." Sarah's eyes widened. "Me? But I've only been a senior manager for a year. There are people with more experience who don't have your vision." "Sarah, I've watched you this past month. Whatever you're going through in your personal life, it's made you hungry. Your work has been exceptional. Sharp, creative, fearless. That's exactly what Henderson needs." I don't know what to say." "Say yes. This project could make your career. If you pull this off, you're looking at a promotion to director. Maybe even VP in a few years." Sarah felt a rush of excitement she hadn't felt in months. This was huge. This was the kind of opportunity people waited years for. "Yes," she said firmly. "Absolutely yes." Victoria smiled. "Good. You start Monday. And Sarah, don't let anyone make you feel like you can't do this. You're one of the best marketers I've ever worked with." As Sarah left the office, she felt like she was walking on air. Daniel had tried to break her, but instead, she was rising higher than ever, gathering allies. Sarah's sister Emma flew in from California that weekend. Emma was younger by 3 years, but she had always been Sarah's protector. "Where is he?" Emma demanded as soon as she arrived. "Where's that cheating piece of garbage? I'll kill him." Sarah laughed for the first time in weeks. "Get in line." They spent the weekend together, eating takeout and watching terrible reality TV. Emma painted Sarah's nails bright red. "War paint," she called it. "You're going into battle." Sarah's other friends rallied around her too. Melissa came back, apologizing again for not speaking up sooner. Sarah forgave her. Life was too short for grudges, and she needed her best friend. They formed what Melissa called Team Sarah. They met every Thursday for dinner, sharing updates and offering support. They celebrated Sarah's new project. They helped her pick out powerful outfits for important meetings. They reminded her daily that she was loved and valued. Even Sarah's mother, usually so reserved and proper, showed unexpected support. "I never liked him," she admitted over the phone. "He always seemed like he was trying too hard to impress people." Real confidence is quiet. Sarah was building an army of support. People who believed in her. People who would stand by her side no matter what. And she was going to need them, because the next phase of her plan was about to begin. The plan takes shape. Sarah sat at her kitchen table one night with a notebook. At the top of the page, she wrote, Operation Phoenix. She had spent 2 months healing, growing stronger, gathering resources. Now it was time to act. The divorce would be filed next week. Margaret had everything ready. They would ask for the house, half of all accounts including the secret one, and Daniel would be responsible for the credit card debt since he incurred it through infidelity. But that was just the legal side. Sarah wanted more. She wanted Daniel to understand what he had lost. She wanted him to see her thriving while he dealt with the consequences of his choices. The reckoning. Sweet victory, bitter truth. The corporate takeover. 3 months after the Christmas card that changed everything, Sarah stood in the Henderson Industries boardroom. 20 executives sat around a massive table, all eyes on her. She clicked to the first slide of her presentation. Her hands were steady. Her voice was strong. This was her moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. What I'm about to show you isn't just a marketing campaign. It's a complete brand revolution. For the next hour, Sarah presented her vision. New logos, fresh messaging, a complete digital overhaul, social media strategies that would reach millions, partnership opportunities with influencers, a launch event that would make headlines. She had poured everything into this project. Every sleepless night, every ounce of pain and anger and determination. She had channeled it all into creating something brilliant. When she finished, the room was silent. Then the CEO, Richard Henderson, started clapping. The rest of the room joined in. "Ms. Mitchell," Richard said, standing up, "that was extraordinary. You've given us exactly what we needed and more. When can you start implementation?" "Immediately," Sarah said with a confident smile. After the meeting, Victoria pulled her aside in the hallway. "That was the best presentation I've ever seen from anyone on my team. You didn't just save that account. You elevated it. Congratulations, Director of Marketing." Sarah felt her heart soar. "Director. Effective immediately. You've earned it. 20% raise, corner office, and your own team. Don't let it go to your head, though. I'm expecting great things from you." Sarah walked out of the building feeling like she was floating. Her phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "How did it go?" She typed back, "I got promoted to director." Emma's response was immediate. "That's my sister. Celebration dinner tonight." Sarah smiled, but her smile faded when she saw another notification. Daniel had been trying to call her. She had been ignoring him for weeks, communicating only through lawyers. She listened to his voicemail. "Sarah, please. We need to talk. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. I ended things with Rebecca. It's over. I want to save our marriage. Please call me back." Sarah deleted the message without a second thought. Some things were too broken to fix, and she didn't want to fix them anyway. The public exposure. 2 weeks later, Sarah attended a charity gala that both she and Daniel had been invited to months ago. Before everything fell apart, she had considered not going, but then decided she had every right to be there. She wore a stunning emerald green dress that hugged her curves. Her hair was styled in elegant waves. Marcus had agreed to be her date, looking handsome in a classic tuxedo. "You look incredible," he said when he picked her up. "I feel incredible," Sarah replied, and she meant it. They arrived at the gala fashionably late. Sarah walked in with her head high, Marcus's arm linked with hers. She immediately saw familiar faces from Daniel's office. Some people looked away. Others whispered. Then she saw him. Daniel was standing near the bar with Rebecca. She was wearing a red dress that seemed too young for the formal event. Daniel looked uncomfortable, tugging at his collar. Their eyes met across the room. Sarah didn't look away. She held his gaze, let him see her confidence, her happiness, her new companion. Then she simply turned away and walked toward the auction tables. "Are you okay?" Marcus asked quietly. "I'm perfect," Sarah said, and she was. Throughout the evening, people approached Sarah. Some she knew from Daniel's work events. They congratulated her on her promotion, which had been announced in the business section of the newspaper. "We heard about the Henderson account," one woman said. "Everyone's talking about it. You're the rising star of the year." Daniel overheard. She could see him watching from across the room, his face tight. Later, Sarah was bidding on a piece of art when Daniel approached her. Rebecca wasn't with him. "Sarah, can we talk? Please." She looked at him calmly. "I don't think that's a good idea. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes." Marcus stepped closer. The lady said no. Daniel's face flushed. "This is between me and my wife. Soon-to-be ex-wife," Sarah corrected. "And no, Daniel, we have nothing to talk about. Our lawyers can handle everything." "Is this him?" Daniel looked at Marcus. "Is this why you won't talk to me? You've already moved on." Sarah laughed. Actually laughed. "You're unbelievable. You had an affair for 6 months and hid money from me for 2 years. But I'm the bad guy for having dinner with an old friend." People nearby had stopped talking. They were listening now. Sarah didn't care. I made a mistake, Daniel said, his voice getting desperate. People make mistakes. You're really going to throw away 8 years over one mistake? One mistake. Sarah's voice was ice. You made a choice. Every single day for 6 months you chose to lie to me. You chose to betray me. You chose to steal from our joint accounts. Those weren't mistakes, Daniel. That was who you decided to be. Daniel's face went pale. He hadn't known she found out about the money. I can explain. No need. My lawyer has all the evidence. See you in court. Sarah walked away, leaving Daniel standing alone while everyone stared. Marcus followed her to the balcony. That was amazing, he said. Sarah's hands were shaking from adrenaline. Was it too much? It was perfect. He needed to hear that. Everyone needed to hear that. Sarah took a deep breath of cool night air. She had just publicly exposed Daniel's betrayal at an event filled with his colleagues and clients. Tomorrow, everyone would know what he'd done. She should have felt guilty. Instead, she felt free. Financial justice. The divorce hearing was set for a Tuesday morning in early spring. Sarah wore a navy suit and pearl earrings. She looked professional and composed. Margaret sat beside her, a thick folder of evidence on the table. Daniel sat across the room with his lawyer, a slick man named James Porter who clearly charged too much. Daniel looked tired. He had lost weight. There were dark circles under his eyes. Good, Sarah thought.